Guys, Trip here, and today I'm going to be doing a comparison video, and the comparison might look sensible, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be comparing Spektrum versus a Chinese brand Flysky on RC transmitters, and I'm going to be doing it relevant to a price point. So what I've done was, we've got three transmitters at home over here, and here they are. This one's an E-Flight MLP6 DSM, and it's for a Spektrum receiver. Over here we've got a Flysky. This is a Chinese brand, which I really like. This is my transmitter. And over here I've got my wife's DXE, which is a ready to fly. Well, it's the version that comes ready to fly with the Apprentice. Now, the difference between this DXE transmitter and the actual DXE transmitter is that it is missing a few switches over there. And if you come up and look there, it's missing a button and another switch. So inevitably, this is a 4-channel transmitter for a ready-to-fly Apprentice. Now, why have I pinned these three transmitters up against each other? Well, because of their price point. If we look at this little E-Flight transmitter over here, this little guy's 4 channels, and he's going to set you back 50 euros. I mean, look at it. 50. Doesn't even 50 euros. You've got your trim switches over there. The gimbals feel cheap as hell. Your throttle doesn't even have any tension on it, and you've got a 3-mode switch over there and a panic recovery button. The range on this transmitter for 50 euros is all of about 90 meters if you're lucky. If there's any disturbance in the air, you're probably going to lose signal to your airplane. I have flown a little mini model with this over Lake Bled in Slovenia, and well, let's just say that the plane landed up in the lake because I lost signal to the airplane every time I went close to the water. Now, a few of the divers have told me that some guys lose drones there as well because something under the water creates interference, but yeah, that's what happened with this one. That's 50 euros. Let's move over to the DXE. You can't buy this one new from Spektrum without the switches over there, but people crash the Apprentices and have seen this one go online for 50 to 60 euros. What you get with this transmitter is it can stand straight up. You get a throttle cut switch over there. And mind you, these switches aren't very... they feel a good quality, but as you can see, they bend, and it doesn't really matter how much you tighten them, they do give in after a while. You've got a rate switch over there. And you've got a flight mode switch there with a panic recovery button. To be quite honest, neither me or my wife has ever used the panic recovery button because we just don't like what it does. It sort of doesn't give you control of the plane for a few seconds, and there's obviously no camera or, I don't know, sonar on the plane. So when you do press the button and you come out of a move that isn't to your liking, you could go straight into a tree before they give you control back of the airplane. Not the same on the little E-Flight controller. That one, when you actually press the panic recovery button, you still got control of the plane. Now we come to the Flysky. And I really like this transmitter. 6-channel transmitter. You've got 2-phase switch over there, 2-phase switch over there. You've got variometers to control 2 independent channels. 3-phase switch over there and 2-phase switch over there. This transmitter over here set me back 40 euros. And with the 40 euro price tag, I also received an 8-channel transmitter with, let me see what the new technology is. It's got a AFHDS 2A, which apparently gives you better range. Now, what can you do other than fly a ready-to-fly plane that's got a Spektrum receiver with this remote? Well, not much at all. If you do have a Spektrum receiver and You hold, I think it's these two buttons or these two buttons in, or these two buttons, I'm not too sure. You can switch it on and then you can have Elevon mixing over there without having to program it on the screen. That does work. I know that it does work. You can reverse channels by holding in one of the trim buttons and switching it on, and then it goes through a series of beeps and it will reverse the channel. But other than that, you can't really do much else with this. Now, I think that's a pretty neat feature, but when you're flying a ready-to-fly plane that's 4-channel, you're not really going to need that. But it is there, and you can use it. When you come to the DXE, the DXE can do just about everything. But as you can see, it's got no screen here. It's big and bulky, and it has no screen there. So what you do have to do is, there's a little plug port over there. You plug a cable into it, or is it in there? Yeah, it's in there. You plug a cable into it, hook it up to your smartphone or your computer, and you can do your mixes on your computer or your channel, your servo reversing, your VTEL mixing or Elevon mixing, and so forth. But that cable is going to set you back another 30 euros. So if you're going to spend 60 euros for the receiver or the transmitter, and 60 for the cable, that's going to set you back 90 euros for this one over here. Let's speak about the range of this one. It's 180 or 190 meters. I'll give it a round figure and make it 200 meters. So you got 200 meters of range off this transmitter. And you got a single, I'm not so sure what you call it. I'll call it an aerial on the front over here. That, mind you, looks like it should move, but it doesn't. So you can't bend it up. I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't think any receiver is polarized, so you're definitely not going to be flying long range with this transmitter. It's got a 200 meter range. There's no way to dial in a fail-safe just on the transmitter, and I'm not so sure you can do any mixing with the trims as it is. If you hold in this button and you flip this switch a few times, you can do a range test, but that's about all of this transmitter is going to offer you without spending an extra 30 euros on a cable so that you can plug it into your computer. Now let's speak about the inconvenience about plugging it into your computer. You're definitely not going to take your computer with you to the airfield. You might take your smartphone with you. So you're going to have to put the plane in the air, you're going to have to land the plane, you're going to have to plug this in, you're going to have to do a few adjustments, put the plane in the air again, see what's wrong, plug it back into your smartphone, and program it again. You can save a couple of planes, but like I said, once again, you've got to plug it into a computer. You can't do that straight on the receiver. You can, however, bind to any Spektrum receiver just by holding in the bind button and switching the transmitter on. Now we come to the Flysky i6, or the FS i6. I must say, I really like this transmitter. My wife and I were on a very tight budget, so we bought this transmitter and a few receivers to plug into an EPP Eagle, a glider, and a 3D aerobatic plane. And I've sort of really come to like this transmitter. If you switch it on, you're not going to be able to see anything in the camera because of the light glare, but you've got a screen over there. What you do have here is the ability to save 20 planes. It's going to give you two modes. It's going to give you the AFHDS 2A, and that's with the new receivers. Or if you go down to RX setup and AFHDS 2A, you switch it off, it's going to bind to the old Flysky transmitters. So automatically there already you have a difference of receiver that you can plug into. And you see, as soon as it changes, the screen changes as well to clearly show you that it is in a different mode. What else makes this transmitter really funky is it's 6-channel, and it's so easy to reverse your servos. All you do is you go to reverse on the screen, and you can reverse your servos right there. You can adjust your endpoints right on the screen, right in front of you. You've got a display which shows you your throws of your airplane and your throttle curve settings. You got auxiliary channels, which is the two variometers up here for channel 5 and 6. On the same screen, you can also assign a switch to the auxiliary channels. So if you dial in some flaps and you want to sacrifice an auxiliary channel, now bear in mind they're not mechanical, so while you're flying you're not exactly going to get this back in the center. Now if you don't put some offset where if you throw it right up it's straight and you throw it right down you got flaps or flaperons, you can assign it to the 3-phase switch over there. Sacrifice one of the variometer channels. But if you're going to be using the variometer while flying, I guess you're going to have some really mad skill. It'll be better if you had sliders on the side. So I guess nobody's really going to be using these variometers while they're flying. So the simplest thing to do is just assign it to a 3-phase switch. No problem at all. And you've got your sub-trims over there, which you can set in. And you've got your dual rates and your exponential. Now mind you, you can do that on the DXE as well. But like I said, you've got to plug it into a computer. And you can assign a switch to have high or low rates. And you set it right on the screen over there. You have a throttle curve, and you can assign 2 different throttle curves just by assigning it to a switch. Now as you can see, I've got one throttle curve for a glider which is flying on a 2-cell battery, and one throttle curve for that same glider is flying on a 3-cell. You've got 3 available mixes, and you're limited to 3 mixes, whereas you're not limited to any amount of mixes. Or I think you do about 5 or 6 mixes on the DXE, but you'd need to plug it into a computer. And that might be a bit complicated. But you've only got 3 mixers here, but it doesn't matter. This thing costs 40 euros compared to this over here, which costs 50, and that's eFly and binds to Spektrum. So for 40 euros, you get all these great features. You've got automatic elevon mixing over there, and that's just instant. Or you got VTEL mixing over there, so you don't have to sacrifice one of the 3 mix channels to have elevon mixing or VTEL mixing. And there's your switch assign, and as you can see, as soon as you flip them, it'll show you the modes over there. And down here you've got a throttle hold, which I've got on this switch over here. I've got a 35% with that glider, and that's it, yeah. Those are the features that come with the Flysky transmitter. If I do a comparison of the 3, there's an obvious winner over here. The range on this thing, like I said, the range of this one over here is 90 meters. The range of that one there is 200 meters. I have flown a glider completely out of sight, and it's a 1.5 meter glider. I've flown it completely out of sight with this transmitter. So I'm saying this thing has got a range of about 500 to 1,000 meters, easily. It's got 2 antennae, one in this little gadget over here, and another one that runs through over there. And I'm not so sure how it works, if it switches between the 2, or to see which one gets the best signal. But like I said, yeah, the gimbals on the Flysky feel really, really cheap. I mean, they do feel seriously cheap. You can tension the throttle stick, and I've tensioned this one just a little bit as compared to that one, which is just loose, and that one there, that's just really loose. That one there has got some tension in it. But if you feel the gimbal on the right, it's so light and cheap, it feels pretty much the same as this gimbal over here. Well, the same price. Well, this one's cheaper than that one. But if you feel the gimbals on this DXE, these gimbals feel really sturdy and they feel really nice. I like the gimbals on here. But for 60 euros and 30 euros for cable, 40 euro price point, there's a clear winner. This one's got the better range. It beats these 2 hands down. This one's got the better gimbals. It beats the both of them hands down. And this one's got the best price point, and you've got a screen where you can do everything you need to do right on the transmitter without spending extra money on a cable to plug it into a computer. So, as for my comparison on these 3 transmitters, it's got a relatively similar price point. I go for the Flysky, hands down. I like this transmitter, I fly with this transmitter. My wife flies with a DXE because she's got an apprentice. And we had a little Sport Cub S, which we don't have anymore, for not so obvious reasons. But yeah, the switches on this do feel the same quality as these over here. So that doesn't really make a big difference. The button quality on these are okay. The trims on here are a bit more stiff, and they feel a better quality than the trims over here. This feels like a 40 euro transmitter's trims, hands down. But on overall, yeah, the Flysky is a clear winner. if I had to choose between the three of them and I had the amount of money to spend to get them, I would get the Flysky. Hands down. It's a better transmitter. And if you look at the side of them and you look at the size difference, well, this one doesn't stand itself up. The Flysky is thinner than this E-Flight over here. Look how thick and bulky that Spektrum transmitter is. And you can't tell me that in that transmitter there's the amount of technology that requires that much space. So yeah, it's light. It does kind of feel like a toy in your hand, but I like it. It fits my hand nicely. This one does feel more expensive to hold, but when it comes to features, the Flysky will completely outshine it. If you see these three transmitters online for a price, go for the Flysky. You'd be happy with it. All of them have got a bind button. You press that one, you press that stick in to bind. That one's got a bind button right there. That one's got his bind button there. But yeah, I can't stress it enough. I choose the Flysky. It's the clear winner in my book. According to price point and nothing more, because you can get you can get a Spektrum DX6 transmitter, which is going to be worlds ahead of the Flysky, but you're also going to pay 6 times the amount for it. But yeah, this one over here costs more than this, and you've seen what you can get from this compared to the two of them. If you want to, you could do a gimbal upgrade. They do sell other gimbals for it if you want your gimbals to feel a bit more expensive. They're really easy to change. All you got to do is just flip it open, untighten a couple of screws, and you can change your gimbals. They plug into the board at the back there. So if you're really unhappy with the gimbals, you can do a gimbal upgrade. It's still going to be cheaper than buying this little transmitter over here. So you can get the feel of these gimbals for spending less with a Flysky than you'd spend on this over here. If you're getting into flying and you're going to be flying your first plane, go for this right here. In the ready-to-fly versions, you're going to get this right here, one of these two. But I have built a plane for under €100, including this transmitter and the receiver. And I have a lot more fun with it than I do with the ready-to-fly Apprentice. It's got the Spektrum with all its safe mode and blah, 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 blah in it. To be quite honest, the Spektrum receiver with the AS3X safe technology in it costs more than this transmitter, its receiver, and an entire EPP foam eagle, which I do have a lot of fun with. So yeah guys, that's my comparison between the three transmitters you see in front of you. Sorry the video is so long, but I had to touch on a few points. My wife's starting to roll her eyes because she thinks I'm talking too much. And now she's smiling. But yeah, this is my transmitter. I do like it. I fly with it. It's probably going to be with me for a very long time. And that's me for today guys. Please like and subscribe so I can make more of these videos in the future. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.